Title belts to Hall of Fame. Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight retold. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Guys, kings ruling the waves. Memphis Wrestling raising the stage.
Hey everybody, welcome back once again to Dangerous Conversations with Dangerous Doug Gilbert. And this week, we may get a run-in from Wildfire Tommy Rich, but he's up there ruling Kentucky as he tends to do, and so he's a little busy at the moment, but he's going to try to drop in if he can. But Doug, we're going to have a conversation nonetheless with me and you.
Man, you're not kidding, Gene. I think we started off with me and you. I believe we'll be fine, but Tommy will probably pop in here in about 10 or 15 minutes. You can never tell, though. He's up there. I don't know exactly what his title is up there at Wildfire Championship Wrestling. I know he's a talent up there, and he still wrestles, and that's great, and he still loves that. But I don't know if he's the executive vice president or the president or the what would some of the other names be?
He may be the big don of Wildfire Championship Wrestling.
Well, he's for sure the big don there, but I'm not
he's certainly
sure
the namesake, because I mean they're calling it Wildfire, so he may be the. Was that what did Randy say? The founder, president, and owner.
Now that is his title, the founder, president, and what was the? Third
I think it was
one?
Owner, founder, president. I think was the
Owner,
order
founder, president. That's what me and you need to get him a card and us put on that. He'd love that. But me and you have to make sure we call him that next week when he's on here. And like I said, if he pops on here in a minute, we'll say that you come up with him and you name. We don't need to say I do. He'll really say something.
We got to make sure we put the heat on me. That's fine.
Put the heat on Gene. But
then we'll start him. We'll get an angle started with Randy, because then he'll want to call in and go, "There's only one owner, founder, president."
You ain't kidding. Hey, I'll tell him. I say, Tommy's trying to take your gimmick, Randy. That's all it'll be.
We'll have a whole show with just those two fighting over the gimmick there.
There you go. Gene, everything been going good?
Man, it's been going great. I am working on a few different projects, and time's just flying by, man. Another month's gone. I can't believe we're almost to the end of August. Summer is going to be over before we know what's happened. And I know you've been busy, and I don't know if you've had great times lately, but you've certainly been some interesting things going on with you.
Man, I've had a lot of stuff going on, and I've talked to a lot of people and got a lot of stuff in the works as far as the same as you do and everything. And man, we got a lot of places that we're going to be coming. The Memphis Mafia Tours 2025 is still ongoing. In September, we get real busy, and September 3rd at the Coffee County Fair in Manchester, Tennessee. Myself, I'll be there. September 10th, myself and Wildfire Tommy Rich will be at the Henderson County Fair in Lexington, Tennessee, my home where me and my brother and my family all grew up and everything. And man, we love wrestling at Lexington, Tennessee. And the good deal is all the people can come out and see us, Gene, and they have got to pay absolutely nothing. It's a free fair. Man. They get in and come from 5 to 6. It'll be a meet and greet with Tommy and myself and some of the other NWA champions now. And like I said, there's going to be 5 big matches that night and everything. Like I said, that September 10th, the meet and greet starts from 5 to 6, and the wrestling's like 6 to 7:30 and everything. But man, come on out and see that. Me and Tommy would love to see all y'all there in my hometown. And September 12th, that Friday night, right after the 10th, Ripley, Tennessee. Me and Tommy will be in Ripley, Tennessee. The Memphis Mafia Tour will be in Ripley. September 13th, Memphis Mafia Tour will be in Dyersburg, Tennessee. And 2 of those towns that me and Tommy wrestled at many times for Jarrett Promotions, USWA, CWA Wrestling. Then you go to Sunday night, wrestling for one of your friends at the West Tennessee Comic Con. First during the day at the West Tennessee Comic Con on Sunday, we will be at the Carl Perkins Civic Center in Jackson, Tennessee, and we'll be signing that day and afternoon, and that night we will be wrestling, right, Gene?
That's it, man. I tell you what, you guys are burning up the road.
And that is for EPW, and Gene does some announcing for EPW and helps them backstage and does some interviews for them. And man, it's a great company. It's Neil Taylor, the owner's a great guy. The company's a great company, and I mean it's family friendly, so you can bring your kids and everything. And man, he puts on good shows. He brings in good talent and everything. But man, that's like I said, that's September 14th, Sunday, Jackson, Tennessee, West Tennessee Comic Con. Then we go on down to September 20th at the Banana Festival in South Fulton, Kentucky. Myself, Wildfire, Tommy Rich, Jerry the King Lawler, and also the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart, will be there at the Banana Festival. It starts at 11 a.m. and it ends at 2. Now, Jerry Lawler called me the other day, the King, called me and said, Doug, I said, yes, King, what's going on? He said, me and you're going to this South Fulton, right? And I said, yeah. And he said, did you ask the guy the time? And I said, yeah, I think it's 11 to 2 or 11 to 1 or something. He said, dang, me and you're going to have to get up early, aren't we? I said, well, King, we got up for how many years early on Saturday mornings and went to TV, so I don't think this is going to hurt me and you. And he started laughing. He thought that was pretty funny, too. But anyway, yeah, I told him, but you'll have the King there, Mouth of the South there, Wildfire there, Dangerous there. So that's going to be a good little group. Like I said, we're going to have a meet and greet for like 2 hours, and wrestling will start. And everything. So that'll be cool. And like I said, that's South Fulton, Kentucky, the Banana Festival. That night, that is September 20th, on a Saturday. That night, me and Tommy leave there at 2, drive over to Paragould, Arkansas. There's a horror con there at the Greene County Fairgrounds in Paragould. It's a horror con there. It's all day, all morning, all day. Me and Tommy will get there probably 3:30ish or so. We'll sign from 3:30 to I think 6:30, and I think the matches start about 7. We do the signing there, then we wrestle that night. So that's September 20th, the Banana Festival, South Fulton. If you're in that area and you could in the Dyersburg area, anywhere around there, you can come out and see us in South Fulton. If you're up past in Kentucky, you can come down and see us. Me and Tommy would love to see y'all. I know the King will love to see everybody. Jimmy Hart will love to see everybody, the old school fans and new school fans and everything. But that'll be great. And then we're going down to October 3rd. I've got a virtual signing with Captain's Corner with Nick and everything. And man, he's a great guy, and he's got a lot of stuff of mine from Japan that's going to be on this virtual signing. So that'll be real cool. Like I said, it's Captain's Corner. Everybody knows how to get to that and everything. Then you go to October the 4th, one of my favorite days as far as wrestling. And like I said, people, they look at me strange when I say that, this, Gene, but one of my favorite days of wrestling during the year is the Memphis Tigers wrestling night, which I'm a huge sports fan anyway, and which I love the teams around here in Memphis. I'm right between Memphis and Nashville, and I like the Memphis Tigers. I love a lot of college teams. I love a lot of pro teams, but I've always liked the Memphis Tigers, which I'm a huge Vols fan. Everybody knows that. I've got Vols stuff all over my house. But anyway, I love the Tigers also, and we'll be there, and we go to Tiger Lane, and that's what the road right beside the Liberty Bowl, what it's called, Tiger Lane. They set a ring up right on Tiger Lane. And myself and Tommy, I think we're going to be in a tag match that night, and they bring all the other talent in. The King will be there, Jimmy Hart will be there, but it's the old, the new, and everything mixed together. And like I said, it's pretty cool when you look over there and you see the Mid-South Coliseum still standing there right beside of you, a couple hundred yards away, and that's really neat. And like I said, what's really cool is they set the ring up on Tiger Lane, and they put the steel rails around it, and the people walk up to it, and it's packed right there, but it's like the old school Memphis atmosphere and everything. It's really cool.
Man, that's awesome, man. You got the wrestling, you got the football over there in the shadow of the Mid-South Coliseum and all.
And you know what? I know one guy that'd be there. You couldn't keep him from there. That Reggie B. Fine would be somewhere around that parking lot.
That's right.
That's my dog, though. I don't need anybody to say anything about him. I'm the only one to say anything about him.
If we can ever get him to figure out this thing, we're going to have him on this show one of these days. Someday.
Well, I'm just going to wind up buying him a computer and me programming it where it just the only thing he can use it for is to turn on here with us. And just when it opens up, he'll see me and you, and that's the only thing he can use it for. So now I have to send that to him.
Might have to do that because that'll definitely be a fun one. Get it. It's Reggie B is always entertaining. That's for sure.
And then at least maybe Gene, me and you get 1 or 2 jerseys for. He'd say a good deal, but he'd double the price for me, and you then say he's putting it on sale for half price, but he'd double it before he gives it to us for half price. But now that Reggie, for everybody that's listening, man, if you want some cool jerseys and stuff, I buy my jerseys. Like I said, I'm a huge sports fan, me and my wife both, and everything. But he's got great deals on jerseys, any sport. I mean, basketball, football, baseball, anything. But I love the Vols and the Cowboys, so that's mainly what I'll get from him. But I mean, any team all over the country, Reggie's got, like, he goes, he's into that, and man, he stays at the top with all that stuff.
Yeah, look him up on Facebook. Reggie is the guy to hook you up with whatever jersey you want, and if he ain't got it, he'll probably find it, right, Doug?
Right, and he'll find it, and he's liable to end up sending you an Iceman King Parsons jersey.
Or at the very least an autographed picture, if nothing else.
There you go.
The Iceman. Well, that's a lot, man. The Memphis Mafia tour is, as we get later in the year, it's not slowing down. It's picking up steam, man. I think we're going to run all the way through the end of the year here.
Yeah, that's really cool. And we're supposed to be, I haven't got the dates from our friend Neil yet, but me and Tommy are supposed to be over in Mississippi in November. I'm not sure what date or what venue, but it's supposed to be one weekend that me and Tommy are supposed to be for Neil in Mississippi, but he was going to get back with me on that, and me and Gina keep y'all informed on that.
Absolutely. Every week you can check in here on Dangerous Conversations, and we will keep you informed on where you can catch Doug and Tommy each and every week as the tour rolls along.
And as far as Gene, and like we hadn't said this in a while or whatever, but our podcast, y'all know how to get a hold of Gene. If you got any questions, you want anything for me and Tommy to do, any kind of appearances for you, wrestle for you. Like Tommy said, if you got a party you want us to go to, we'll do whatever you want. And everybody, as far as my stuff, getting a hold of me, Twitter, Real Doug Gilbert, Facebook fan page, Dangerous Doug Gilbert, Instagram, Real Doug Gilbert, ProWrestlingTees.com. If you want something from ProWrestlingTees.com as far as the Memphis Mafia or the Gilbert, you go to Gilbert Family and you get to the Memphis Mafia stuff, the Gilbert shirts and everything. And man, it's just, like I said, we've got all kind of stuff and everything. That's real cool. And Gene's got some stuff on the side also, and it's really neat stuff too. He's given me a little bit of it, and it's really nice.
Absolutely. Yeah, definitely check those T-shirts out. There's some really cool designs. I like the new Memphis Mafia anniversary design that's up there.
I'm going to
needs to get them one.
I'm going to send you one of those home with you, Gene.
Yeah, I need to rock one of those. I will. So, man, we got a lot of great feedback about last week's show. We talked about the Memphis Mafia invading Power Pro in 1999, and it was such a deep conversation. We didn't get real far into it. We talked about some of it, but we also kind of had circled back and hit on a couple of things that you had remembered about the end of the USWA. And that was a very popular topic. We got a lot of feedback on, got a lot of listens and downloads and everything. So I thought we'll pick back up because, ironically, when we ended the show last week, Tommy had just quit Power Pro. He fired himself. He was
I was fixing to say he told Randy Hales he didn't give himself his notice, so he fired himself. But I was going to ask you, he didn't give you his notice last week for us, did he? Or did he fire himself?
I better go back through my text messages and emails, make sure, I didn't get a notice and missed it somewhere.
Hey, well, you can tell him if you was to say something that you got to fine him, so that would make him come back to work.
Well, he didn't look amused last week when I pointed out that Wolfie was part of the Memphis Mafia and Power Pro. I'm going to tell him if he don't come back, this is going to be Dangerous Conversations with Doug Gilbert and Wolfie D.
There you go. That would get him started. But I started asking you just a second ago, Gene. What did you get any feedback? Like, we've got pictures of the original Memphis Mafia. Like I said, my brother, myself, Tommy, Buddy, and Brian, and then this version here. Did you get any questions or any statements from people about what they thought about the us. I don't say making up because it was me and Tommy, and then we just added to it what we wanted to, which Tony, I love Tony, I always did. Tony Anthony, and he's a great worker, and Wolfie's a great worker. But I thought, to me, if you just put great works now, it's not always the same. And as far as, and we don't want it to always be the same. We want people to be their own self. We wasn't trying to get Tony to be Eddie or Buddy or Wolfie to be one of them. We wanted Tony to be Tony and Wolfie to be Wolfie, but we wanted for it to make sense and everything. Did you get any feedback on any of that?
I did get one. A couple people messaged me a couple different things, and one of the more amusing ones. Somebody that follows my USWA podcast, which we're now in 1991 on that one, and we're getting into February 91. And so the last episode that we covered on there, the Fabulous Ones got, they left town. Eddie had left, and then Eddie came back in. He fireballed Lawler, and their feud was back up and running like that. And in that episode, Jamie Dundee was used as a special referee, but he kept leaning towards the bad guys, and eventually Eddie Marlin fired him before the end of the show. Right. And on the episode we're going to be covering this week, somebody messaged me like, hey, have you watched next week's episode? Because the Memphis Mafia are out there. It's Doug, Dirty White Boy, Uptown Bruno, and they introduced JC Ice Baby. And JC Ice Baby says, yes, I'm now a member of the Memphis Mafia. He's like, so technically both members of PG-13 at one time or another have been part of the Memphis Mafia. He said, make sure you tell Doug that. I said, okay. Hey,
and you tell me, now those two at some point think that I've got a problem with them. Hell, tell them they's both. I love them both in the Memphis Mafia. I ain't never had no problem with them. No, I love Wolfie and Jamie both, and we can get either one of them on here. And I mean, you will laugh, Jim, because I'll have some stories for them, and they'll have some, I'm sure, for me also. But man, we had some good times, and we was all really tight. People, like I said, me and Tommy worked in a program with them for almost a year and a half. And man, you talking about just, good territorial feud that was personal, and there were so many different twists and turns in it and everything. Like I said, those guys are Jamie's is 2 years younger than me, and Wolfie's, I think, 4 or 5 years younger than me, maybe a little bit more now. I think around that, 5, 6, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, man, we had so many good times, and just times that we could tell you stories, and like I said, we'll get Jamie on here or Wolfie, either one, and we'll tell y'all some stuff, and we will laugh. Gene, you will laugh, but you think, how can this even be? How could this have happened, or how can it be true? And it's like I tell them, I said, we could tell people this, but that's like, they've got to be making this up. The stuff that we wouldn't want to even make up, but it's so funny. And man, we had some great times, and like I said, like I told you stories with Tommy before. We'd take one of them with us. Now it was hard to take both of them with you, because you couldn't take both of them, because they'd wind up getting in a fight with each other. It was kind of a tension thing, but you could take one at a time, and man, we'd have a blast. But like I said, I'd have to keep Tommy off them, because Tommy was daddy figure, and he'd kind of scold them a little bit and hurt their feelings and shit. But I'm talking about, you think, Gene, you would have rolled. I'm just telling you, it was that funny.
Yeah, we'll definitely have to. That's been one of our most requested things. There's two different things people have really just beat me to death on since we started this podcast. Is one, we want to hear about the PG-13 feud, and then the other is we want to hear about the Power Pro event, so to speak. And I keep telling folks, we'll get there. Just take it easy. But yeah, there's so many great stories to tell there. And this promo was funny. I went and watched it after the guy sent it to me, and Tony Anthony kind of, because the week before is when Dundee came out, pulled his belt off, and whipped Jamie on TV. Right. And then so now Tony Anthony basically has got his arm around Jamie like he's his adopted father now. Like, yes, we're going to take you in with us now, and we're your new family and everything. And
well, I was going to say, hey, Gene would kind of have to feel sorry for him after Bill done whipped him and everything in front of everybody.
He laid it to him. I think there was some. I think he had been withholding some frustrations that he took out on him there on TV that morning.
Hey, well, I'm sure so. You talked to Jamie a few times on the phone.
Oh yeah. And when he turned around and goes, "I hate you." That's about as genuine as ever Jamie Dundee promo I've ever seen. But
that's it. And Jamie, I tell you, you should have seen how I was raised. I laugh, but the funny stuff is like when him and Tommy, when I get them together, and Tommy will tell me most of it. What Jamie says is true, but it's like him and Bill piercing Jamie's ear when he was 5 or 6 years old or something.
Gave him a sip of beer and then pierced his ear. Yeah, Jamie loves to tell that story.
Yeah,
but
there's all kind of cool stories like that and everything. But yeah, we get Jamie on here with us one day, which he told me anytime I want him to come on, he'd do it. But now that's Jamie saying that. But most time with me, if he does say he's going to do something, he'll do it, because like I said, we've had a ton of cool stuff that we've done together. It's funny that people just don't believe.
But watching as much 1990 and 1991 USWA as I've watched in the last few months preparing for this new season of the podcast, and then watching some of this Power Pro for this episode. And I ain't gonna say we haven't talked about it, because we talked to Tony himself about it. But most people relate you to Eddie and Tommy, but you and Tony Anthony really were a well-established tag team for quite some time there.
Did you think that time period at the end of USWA when Randy was booking and the Power Pro TV, did you think that resembled?
Did one resemble the other?
Yeah, I mean, you know what I'm saying, as far as when Randy was booking USWA and then Power Pro. I'm not saying that, I mean, if you thought one was better than the other, but did you think as far as the show, as far as the booking on it, or the storylines, or did you think it resembled any at all, or did you not?
I think so. I think you can kind of look at that timeline of the last 3 or 4 years of USWA and tell when Randy's booking and when he's not. And then kind of the same, once you see Power Pro, even though he's the figurehead on TV, but no, he's really booking this. And you can see sometimes in Power Pro where, Cornette had took over, the WWF was making the calls around there. But I think so. Did you feel?
Yeah, and I mean, but to me, you can always tell the difference when Randy was doing it on one show and on the other show. I mean, even if you thought one show, if there's both equal, or you thought one show was far and above ahead of the other one, but I'm talking about show wise, when you was watching it and everything, if you could tell. And to me, I think you can tell, but I think that goes back to a person booking, and a good booker, even though if he don't have the best talent that he had somewhere else, still he can make things a lot better than a lot of people can and everything. Yeah. But I mean, I think you can tell by the TV. I mean, like me or you, one watching that, we know what we're watching for. I think you can tell. And I actually think other people can tell, but what I mean is tell, Gene, if they really like it, I think they would probably really like both of them. Even though if you don't have as good a talent on one as you had the other. But now the whole thing, I say the whole thing, 90% or 80% is your talent, and then your booking and everything as far as getting everything good. But yeah, I could definitely tell. And like I said, you could tell when other people come in and they was booking also. But I mean, it was Randy done some good stuff, and he had some good TVs. And then, like I said, I thought it was good. I thought we done some good, and it was entertaining TV when he brought Tony in and brought Wolfie in. And like I said, the thing about it was something that the people didn't know what was going to happen. Now, when you start every week and you've got the same people every week, well, then they're a part.
There he is.
I told you he'd show up, Gene. But, when different people show up, I mean, that's what, like when we said Tommy in the showing up in the box that day. Well, that was the last thing people thought they was going to see was Tommy coming out of a box. And that's what I'm saying. That, to me, that's what makes good TV, when it's like that.
Tommy, welcome to the show, man. How you doing?
What's up, guys? Y'all doing all right, man? Hey, I'm kind of like, I might be late, but I'm always there, kind of like the mailman.
Hey, I told Gene, I said, you give him about 15 minutes, and I think he's going to show up. And I told Gene, though, this, and you'll hear it later also, was I said, you know where we went off last week? Tommy had just fired himself. He gave his own self his notice and everything. He left. I said, Gene, have you checked your emails or anything? I said, Tommy ain't done give his notice to you, has he? And
I thought Gene gave his notice. I called about the telephone situation he was telling me about, and they said that was a bunch of bull.
Is that right?
I wish.
Hey, Gene said
connection of all of them.
Gene said actually, Tom, it wound up just being his house.
Oh, is that what it was?
Yeah, everybody else was good, but just his house, the line must have been down.
Turns out if you don't get the bill paid on time, then all of a sudden your internet don't work, your phone don't work, you can't text anybody to tell them when you're going to do the show. So, just kidding. That's not exactly what happened. But.
I've had that problem before. All I did was go up on my roof and hold a little antenna up. And hopefully,
I was going to go sit in the McDonald's parking lot and use their Wi-Fi to do the show.
Hey, there you go, Gene. But hey, our man here is up there at the headquarters of Wildfire Championship Wrestling. Where you going to be at tonight and tomorrow night, Tommy? Friday night and Saturday night?
Won't nobody hear this, but we're going to be in Frenchburg, Kentucky tomorrow night, but Prestonsburg, Kentucky Saturday night. And if you're up in this area tuned in to us, it's going to be a big show. It's big war games. Rock and Roll Express is there. It's going to be a big show. I mean, and they expecting a great crowd too. So anybody out there, we'll be out there early for a meet and greet. So if you ain't got nothing to do, you want to see some good wrestling, and you like the war games, it's been. Well, maybe with Doug, he smarted me up last time. I said the last battle of Atlanta was the last cage match I was in. Dougie said, nope. He said, you and me was in one. I said, oh, okay. So I really hadn't forgot how to do a cage match. So I'm kind of excited about it. If any head busting's going on, I hope it's me busting their heads.
Now, Gene, this drops at midnight, right?
It does.
So people will hear about this, Tommy. It drops at midnight, so people will hear about you tomorrow night where you're at. That's why I said, where was you going to be tomorrow night? People will hear this.
They'll jump straight in the car.
We're
and
in
head that way.
Frenchburg, Kentucky, at Memphis Central High. Okay,
good deal. And where you at Saturday night?
Prestonsburg, Kentucky. And that's a big one. I'm pretty fired up about it.
Yeah, I think there's supposed to be one there in about 3 years. It's going to be like WrestleMania. I'm supposed to be booked on. But
got you some October dates.
Okay, good deal. I got you. Yeah, the October, that's when I'm good in. Hey, Gene, but Tommy, we was kind of going back over the USWA. Gene said a lot of people had sent in some stuff about, remember us talking about you giving your notice and to yourself, and you being Randy Hales' assistant booker and everything. I think everybody got a big kick out of that, and I don't think we've really said that to anybody before. But we was just talking about some stuff, and Gene said the people really like kind of hearing some of the behind-the-scenes stories about that time. And then we went ahead, like was talking on the Power Pro stuff when you had done one out, and we'd had Randy brought Wolfie in and Tony Anthony in, but it was like I was telling Gene what we was just talking about right before you popped up here, and why I said about like you being in the box. Well, they didn't know. Randy was asking me who could you get, and at that point we couldn't get you at that time. So I said I was going back in the history of this territory, and like Gene had just said, he said, "Well, Doug, you know what? You don't talk about it much, but you and Tony Anthony was a pretty established tag team in this territory." And I said, yeah. And I said, that's why I'd asked Randy, I said, well, how about Tony Anthony? We couldn't get Tommy. So I said, how about Tony Anthony? I said, that'd be great. And people, Tony was over here and me and him was kind of established. And I said, how about Tony? So Randy wound up getting Tony, and Tony was great for the TV. And it's what I was telling you, Tommy, as far as for, like I'll say, people says it all different ways. I say, I've seen bad TV. You can have good TV, or you can have great TV. Now, that's just breaking it down to me in three categories as far as being entertaining and good, or entertaining and great, or just bad. Now, you've seen bad TV, I know, before. I have. I think Gene probably has, and I've seen good, and I've seen great. But then I was telling them, like, the following week, like when he brought Tony in, nobody knew Tony was coming in. Like that day you was in the box. What would anybody say? Gene said he was, I think, in college or high school. When you come out of the box, you was the last person that he thought he would see. So that's what to me, don't you think, Tommy, that's what makes TV entertaining?
Oh, and just, I mean, the ideas from back then was, of course, Memphis Wrestling. I mean, and that's where a lot of the great ideas come from. I mean, a lot of that stuff was before the time. I mean, you look and they're using some of the stuff today, you know. But y'all was talking about my man Randy Hales. I just want to go back a little bit in time and say that Randy Hales, when Dougie and me, we had that. He hated us, but he loved us because we drawed money. But he, you know, I know he didn't like us. I mean, because me and Dougie, I mean, like y'all were talking about me, him wanting me to be the hacks man. I hacks myself. But I remember one time we was up in Hendersonville, and it was Randy Hale's birthday, and Randy gonna take us out to eat. We had Evansville, Indiana that night. And so we go down to the steakhouse and we tell him it's Randy's birthday, and they put a hat on him, tie balloons around his wrist. He about floated off twice. We had to pull him out. Yeah. But anyway, it was all fine and good. So, and usually, you know, well, of course, Dougie, I mean, sometimes he might not want to go, but a lot of times it's me too. But anyway, we left that steakhouse and I don't even think we was really going to meet anybody. But we told Randy we'd see him in Evansville, Indiana, and we went down to Trinity Lane there, and there was a Holiday Inn there, and an old bar called Chuggers, and we sit out in the parking lot. We never did even go into Chuggers. If we'd went into Chuggers, I might have had a reason for not going. But we sit there, and I looked at Dougie, he looked at me, and shoot 4 o'clock. That's about the latest. Shoot 4:30. But we looked at each other and we just kept sitting there. Dougie finally looked at me. He said, "Do you want to go?" I said, "What?" I said, "If you don't want to go, I don't want to go." I said, "But I'm gonna fly back to Atlanta if we ain't going." And back then they had a flight out of Nashville about every hour. I said, but we probably do need to go. I mean, we just wish it Randy a happy birthday and everything. And, you know, we was like candy kids. But I guarantee you, when he got to Evansville and we wasn't there, I bet he was cussing us and calling us everything he could, you know. But yeah, and hey, Randy was smart. I mean, for the business, he had good ideas. And like Dougie said before, I mean, if we had something to make it better, he would listen. I mean, so it was kind of a mutual thing. But you know, we had a heck of a run there. You know, I mean,
and you know the cool thing, and me and Gene was talking about this, and I said about like how long we had to run with PG. I mean, you work with different guys during the middle of that. They left and went to Mexico. I mean, you work with different guys during that period also. But Gene, it was like Tommy said. I mean, it was funny with Randy because, and I was laughing. Like I said, we all respected Tommy so much and everything, but. You know, if I had an idea, I'd tell Tommy, and then I'd tell Randy, come here, I want to talk to you. Me and Tommy want to talk to you, and I'd run what I had. Then Tommy would have something to go along with it, and we'd put what we had together, and we would think, and I swear that whole program, why it was exciting and entertaining and so personal, is because we would throw stuff together. Like me and Tommy, Randy would come up with some great stuff, and me and Tommy would come up with some stuff, and at times where you would really laugh at, Wolfie and Jamie would maybe say a word or two, like while me and Randy and Tommy was talking, and if Tommy didn't want to listen to it, he'd look at him and say, get out of this man's conversation or something like that. But you talking about funny, and I'd laugh a little bit. And if they had an idea and everything, which, you know, now they was really Randy's boys, Gene. I mean, you know, and I don't mean that bad. And I'm glad we all got, and like me and Tommy was Randy's guys because he knew he could trust us. If he ever called us and he needed something and something was going on or something bad, and like him wanting Tommy to be his assistant. Like I said, and the funny thing, people would never believe this. Like Tommy let about 4 or 5 guys go, but that was the thing. Randy just was a peaceful guy. He didn't want, you know, no turbulence or nothing. And there was like 4 guys or something, and he needed to give them a notice, and he didn't want to give them a notice. Well, Tommy become his assistant booker, and Tommy wouldn't give him a notice. But I mean, Tommy done it the right way, knew how to do it. Nobody got mad. They got the 2-week notice. They worked it out, and they left. I mean,
but that's way. I mean, in any other territory was like that too. But like talking about PG-13, I mean, if you'd have looked at that on paper, it said that would draw money, especially because that was toward the end too. So you really needed something special. If you'd have said on paper, if you looked at that, you might have thought that wouldn't draw a dime. But we all worked our butts off. Plus, there was a lot of thought into it, and it drawed good with Wolfie and Jamie. I mean, and they worked their butts off. I mean, it was just a good combination, and it drawed all the way around the loop.
And Gene, that's what Randy has said to me in the past couple months. He said, "You know what, Doug? I could tell when I looked at you and Tommy, and I told y'all what I wanted y'all to do, that y'all wasn't very enthused with it." And I said, "Well, what do you mean, Randy?" And he said, "I remember the first time I told you and Tommy I wanted to put y'all in a big program with PG-13. He said, you and Tommy just kind of looked at me." He said, "And I could tell y'all wasn't very enthused with me." And I said, "Well, I don't think it was we wasn't enthused with you." I said, "We just might have been trying to think how this was going to get over, how we was going to do the things and come up with the ideas that we did to get this over as good as it got over, because it got over great." I mean, we made the people believe in them, Gene, and that's the thing I think me and Tommy might have at first thought a little bit about. What is it going to take to get the people to believe that they can beat us and us make everything, personal, make it personal and make the people think they can beat us? And I mean, Tommy, is that kind of?
Yeah. I mean, and it's, and like Dougie said, I mean, they was Randy's creation, PG-13.
Right.
So when the idea come, it was like, that's his guys, and we might have thought we should have been get somebody else. I mean, did they deserve to break? I don't know if they did or not, but once we did the angle, they produced every night, and like I said, I mean, we draw money around the loop when it was hard to draw money. So hats off to Jamie and Wolfie and Randy Hales, man. Even though they're boys. But a lot of times, though, I think he kept them around him so he'd make sure they showed up.
Well, and that, hey, that's good logic for him and everything. And he made sure they made it to the towns and everything. But now, for sure, they was his boys. And I'm not saying that is a bad thing. To me, that was a great thing. I'm glad he liked them. I'm glad they got over it. I'm glad they made the money they made in this business and got the breaks they got in the business and everything. And I have been nothing but anybody can say whatever they want about them. We've all done things maybe we shouldn't have, but man, I've had so many good times with those guys and everything. And they're a trip. Me and Tommy, I told Gene before you got on here that me and you would take one with us at different times, but we couldn't ever take both because they'd wind up. We could take one, but we couldn't take both of them. It was just a one at a time deal and everything. Now we had great times with one of them at different times. That we take one, then we take the other, and have great times. But we love both of them. But I mean, you couldn't have them together, or it would. I told Gene, hell, we'd have to keep them from fighting if we took both of them with us at the same time.
Oh yeah, they was definitely. And I think that's another reason Randy kept with him. He was like the mediator, But Randy loved it. But Randy, like I said, Randy had great ideas, and where he seen money, we might not have seen it at the time, but it drawed money, So,
right.
And you can't say. I mean, Jamie and Wolfie worked their butts off every night. I mean, they get in there and give it 110%, and we did. I mean, shoot. We couldn't have no better match with anybody, I don't guess.
Right. And Tommy, I mean, Gene, we'd go out there and say on the Thursday, Friday, Saturday, any night, actually. I mean, they never, Tommy, I can never remember anybody telling us that we had to go home or giving us a time. There was never I mean, most everybody, they'd say, well, the show's got to be over or this or that. There was never, a lot of time we had to put in all the time, but what I'm saying is nobody, even if we wasn't on last or next to last, it was just y'all do y'all stuff whenever y'all are ready or what you need. But we knew as far as time wise, like if there was a time and you didn't want the show to be late, I mean, we would cut it down a little bit. But I mean, it was nothing, Gene, for any spot shows or anything for us to go 30, 40 minutes. I mean, tonight and everything.
And that's what was so cool too, because you could go out there and go 15, and that's probably what they wanted most of all, unless we was a couple of quick matches and they needed us to go. But you'd go 12, 15 minutes, and that was about enough. But we'd go with Jamie and Wolfie, and they, we'd go 20, 25 minutes, 30, whatever, whatever. But the matches were good, and it was different every week. I mean, yeah, they were a very good tag team together.
Here's something I want to ask both of you guys, because I think this is a key. Having watched it back then and gone back and rewatched it now and kind of analyzed things, I think this is a key to what really made it work and got them over with the fans. Was it's not like just they jump into a feud with you guys and they're beating Doug Gilbert and Tommy Rich. Like when it started out, it was kind of lopsided. You guys would beat them down and beat them. You shave their head, but they kept coming back. They kept persevering. But if most of the fans by this time were smart enough that if they just got thrown in a feud with y'all and immediately out of the gate they started beating you guys, they'd be like, "Oh, the promoter over here is pushing his boys or whatever." But the way you guys did it, so Wes, I guess what I'm asking was that you guys were smart enough to kind of book it that way. Was Randy, or was it just a conglomeration of all of you just knew this is how this needs to go?
Well, and a lot of that's Dougie and myself. I mean, and Randy. But I mean, like we'd give them the spots in the beginning, but then we would kick the dog stink out of them, and then we'd slip on a banana peel, and then people would go crazy. Everybody loves good versus evil, and Doug and me were some pretty good heels back then, and and they loved, and I don't think they would have believed them just beating the daylights out of us, where we beat them up for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, whatever it took to get it right. Then when they did make the tag and we come in and got into whatever it was we did, we slipped on that banana peel and they got the 3 count. I mean, then people went crazy. I mean, it's kind of like a Davy and Goliath thing, I guess. But the people bought what we were selling. That's for sure.
And Gene, the thing about it was what you just said about it didn't start out with them beating us. Me and Tommy, we beat on them. And I ain't saying just beat them like as far as finishes in match. I'm talking about just during the matches. Yeah. We would actually beat on them. And I mean, we wouldn't kill them or nothing. But believe me, everything was solid. And the people knew that everything was real. And we was beating them and the people could tell. But what does that do? That gets them sympathy. Yeah. Stuff that Tommy talks about that there's not any hardly anymore, but it got sympathy on them, and the people freaking started buying them. And the more that we would beat them, and it would make the people believe in them and make them think, even though we was beating them, it would make the people think they were stronger because they was actually standing there with us. And the finishes, like Tommy said, that we did and came up with, and we'd come up with different finishes. Like I said, me and Tommy would ride down the road, and the good thing is Randy thought we finished stuff all the time too. But me and Tommy, when we was riding down the road together every day, every other day, I mean, it's every day we'd ride down the road, but say every day or every other day, we'd talk about different finishes and stuff. And we'd come up with finishes. Randy would have finishes. A lot of time we would throw those finishes together and they would really be good and everything. Or Tommy might have one that was better than all of ours. And I'd say, well, let's do this, Randy. And knock on wood, Randy would usually, I'd say 90% of the time go with what we thought, wouldn't it, Tommy?
Yeah, I mean, it was just, the camaraderie or whatever you say, I mean, because, and I think, and probably that's of course, I knew Jamie, I pierced his ear when he was 5 years old. So I've known, and see, there you go again, getting into the more personal angles and stuff, because me and Bill had been partners. And like I said, we pierced his ear. Yeah, when he was 5 years old, I took a pin, we stuck it. Bless his heart. If anything wrong with it, probably mine and Bill's fault. Yeah. But, so we had that, bond. I mean, and Doug and myself, I mean, sometimes you might think this ain't going to do good, but you take pride in what you're doing. And so you want to make it good. And then once we worked with them a little bit, it all just came together and it all worked good. And nobody had no chip on their shoulder. Nobody thought that Andre the Giant. I mean, it was all business, and they would do whatever you asked to do. I had to say they did it all.
And that's what Tommy, I had told Gene, and I actually told Randy Hales a few weeks ago this when he was talking to me, when he said that about, well, the first time he told me and you that he wanted us to be in a big angle with them, that he could tell we wasn't very enthused. And I said, I don't think it was so much that, Randy. We was just trying to figure out how we was going to make it as good as we could make it. But then Jamie and Wolfie, on the other hand, like I said, and Randy had his plans for them, and I'm glad he did, and I'm glad things worked out. But like I said, it made the people believe. If me and Tommy did any one thing, I think they trusted us because they knew it wasn't an ego thing with Tommy, with me, and with them it wasn't. And Randy knew we was going to do what was best for business and everything. But me and Tommy was trying to do what would be best to get them over to draw money, because they hadn't been put in a spot before, Gene, where they were supposed to be the baby faces to draw money. Now, Tommy'd been in that spot his whole life in Atlanta as far as a baby face, and come back here as a heel and be red hot as could be and everything. But we knew we was going to have to get them over, because at this point in time, they, and I don't mean this bad, but they wasn't at that level to really draw money that Randy was putting them in. And that's where we was going to have to get them ready to draw money. And I'm not saying nothing about their work. Their work was great, but you know what I'm saying, right, Tommy? I mean, they hadn't been put at that level.
And that's exactly it. And if there was, I mean, like, cause like I said, that's when, that was on the backside when it was getting harder to draw money. And Dougie and myself, I mean, I speak for me, but I think Dougie will agree. I mean, we took pride in what we did.
Right.
I mean, it didn't matter if there were 50 people out there or if it was a sold out Coliseum. We'd go out there and bust our butts every night because we had pride in what we did. And I think if it was anything, it was just that we wasn't sure about that we could draw money with them, or, me and like, could you bring somebody else in, Randy? But as it ended up, I mean, they wanted to impress us as much as we wanted them to, and
right.
they upped their game. They went from, say, 50 to 75 or 100, whatever, and they upped their game because of respect for us, I think, too, because they, I mean, they both, I mean, anything we asked them to do, never, and Jamie could be smart every now and then, but it never was. I mean, yeah, we always was good.
And Gene, Tom was talking about, we didn't care and we wanted to help. I mean, look, and size wise and everything when all this started, but it wound up, if you look during this program, it wound up where I would feed in and freaking let, of all things, Jamie, like power slam me, stuff that you could never, and then all of a sudden Tommy'd start feeding and let Jamie power slam him, and the people would go freaking crazy, Gene. I mean, it was stuff that you didn't think and they didn't think he could do and everything, but I mean, me and Tommy knew how to work, so we could, he wouldn't really have to be lifting us, but it looked like he done lift us and power slammed us and everything, and the people, but they started believing. Well, when they seen that at first, and like I said, we'd beat them. The whole time we'd beat them a lot as far as during the heat, and it looked like we was killing them, but it made the people buy them, and it made them stronger. I mean, nothing we did hurt them. Everything we did helped them, and they sure didn't hurt us anyway. We could put them on, and that's what Tommy was saying about the finishes. I mean, you do your finishes right, and as far as if you're a good heel, shit, me and Tommy put them over, then get heat back on them after matches, and leave with more heat after we put them over than we had when we come to the ring.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, we did better when we lost. I mean, we would get people just, they hated us, and there again, I mean, but Jamie and Wolfie, they didn't get attitude like, well, they just beating the daylights out of us or something.
Yeah.
They sold like Jerry Jarrett taught me to sell. They would sell that way. It's one thing to be a job guy, just go in there and get your ass whooped, but and that's what helped me on in Atlanta. You know, sometimes they say, well, do this or do that. And sometimes you think, hey, and but I'd say, well, if I go out there and just die, so if you fight back and show them people that everybody loves the underdog, and Jamie and Wolfie both. I mean, they both. I mean, never. It didn't matter because they knew what the end was going to be. They knew that, they was going to get their little shine in. But the main thing was that the people believed what they were doing.
They believed what they were seeing. And another thing I think that helped so much, Gene. I mean, me and Tommy could do some, put them over or something, and the whole thing, anything. If we beat them or we put them over, whatever, we would cheat, lie, steal, whatever it was for TV or in the house shows, and we do it behind the referee's back. Me and Tommy have talked about this for a little bit now. Now, nobody does anything behind the referee's back, but I mean, if you was a heel then and you kept good heat and didn't put the heat on the referee, kept it on yourself, I mean, that's kind of a lost art these days, Gene. And I mean, but me and Tommy was talking about different things like that, but there's so many simple things that I think we made the most out of everything that we did, and I think that helped them and helped us. And one of the main things I think really helped us was there was no ego. Like, I mean, me and Tommy would talk to Randy and them on the phone, and they'd be with Randy, and Randy tell us the idea of this or that. Like Tommy might, like I said, might say one, and we'd get off the phone and then we'd think about it. And I said, man, Tommy, I like what you said, or I like what Randy said. What about if we done that and then put this in there with it? And man, you would really come up with some, with 3 or 4 guys thinking. And the good thing, Wolfie and Jamie even thought a lot about it. And every once in a while they would have something great. But now a lot of times they'd have something off the wall also. but I mean, we was all thinking, and we wanted to do good. And like I said, that was the first time for them to be put in that spot where they was supposed to draw money, where they had to draw money, or it made us all look bad. And me and Tommy had to figure out how to make that work.
And I think too, I mean, it was like Dougie'd already made a reputation for himself. I'd made a reputation for myself. They, like Dougie said, they might have been semi, but not main event. But in my mind, I think that the people, and like Dougie said, like we would cheat. We'd get a chain out, we'd do this, that. I think in the people's mind, that made them mad too, because I think they looked at us and thought, well, y'all ought to be able to beat them up, and y'all got to cheat to do it.
Right.
I think that's a lot of heat too, and draws.
And here's one thing, Gene, that I think me and Tommy might have looked at it the first after Randy says this, and I think about it now. You got to realize, me and Tommy was coming off of working with Lawler and Dundee, Lawler and Brian, Lawler and Idol, and then Randy tells us, I'm going to put y'all in a serious program with PG-13. And I mean, no disrespect, because I love Jamie and Wolfie, and I'm glad, I think this angle got them over like it did. And I mean, I know it helped them anyway, but I think it really got them over, and it made the people believe in them. I think this is the first program, as far as me and Tommy. Now, they work with other guys in the program stuff, but the program that made the people actually believe in them, I think, Gene.
Oh, and I agree with that, because I mean, they, after we worked with them, they went from USWA as PG-13 to different areas and drawed some money. Yeah, I'm a firm believer. I mean, was it a match made in heaven? I don't know, but we turned it into heaven. I mean, I think at the end of the day, I think they did a great job. I think we did a great job. I think Randy Hales did a great job. I might have scratched my heads a couple of times when Randy suggested it, but that's because I knew Jamie when he was a little kid. I mean, it's he grew up, and I think there again, I think all of that, people knew that we grew up just like me and Dougie grew up. I knew, of course, Wolfie. I never knew Wolfie that good. I know he's a good friend of yours, Gene. I'm trying not to say nothing bad about him, because I don't correct me like Randy would. Oh, are you still here? I'm sorry.
Something people may overlook or not understand, and you said this earlier, and you said, what a knock, and it's not, but like you had this hierarchy in Memphis, and so you had Lawler, Jeff Jarrett, Brian Christopher, and these people up at the top. But at this time, Randy was apparently smart enough to see, well, Lawler's, back and forth at WWF. Jeff's just flat gone to WWF. Brian's going to be mostly in singles, upper level singles matches. Somebody had to rise up over here to fill those voids. And if it could be a hometown team, if he ain't got to pull somebody from another territory in and pay them a bunch of money to trans them in here and all this stuff, if you guys can raise PG-13 up to your level and make them main event stars, then, that says a lot to me about the faith he had in you guys, that they're like, hey, I know everybody's going to roll their eyes at this at first. I'm sure when Lawler heard it, Lawler's like, yeah, all right, you're going to put them in a, okay,
well,
whatever.
I bet Lawler snickered.
Yeah, yeah. I've heard Randy say that that he was determined to make this work because so many people, and I'm sure he's referring to the Jerrys, Lawler and Jarrett both, told him no, it's never going to happen. It's never going to happen.
Well,
and you guys all got together and made it happen.
And two, like you said, it wasn't like we said, we was on the back end of the business then, and you couldn't bring,
who was a dream?
A tag team that was out there, and they wasn't going to pack up and move, so they'd have to be on a guarantee. So Randy took a situation and what was a bad situation, he made a good situation out of it. I'm proud to say we worked with PG-13 and drawed money,
And me too. And I can say one thing: me, Tommy, and Jamie and Wolfie are all friends to this day. And man, I love watching some of that stuff. And the cool thing is, a little bit of it I don't remember, and we're just watching it back, man. I told Randy Hales one day, and I've told Tommy this before, I watch something and I'll call one of them and say, man, that was freaking good. I can't believe I didn't remember. There's certain spots of it that I don't remember. But, when I watch it back, I think, damn, that's a lot better, which I think used to, like me and Tommy told you before, we I don't want to say we overthought it, but we wanted everything to be so good because when you're making guarantees, you're thinking so much about that night, whatever night it is, about that town drawing. And once me and Tommy would leave that town, well, then what we're thinking about, we're going to go out and have a good time that night. But then we're thinking about that next night and that town drawing and what we're doing, drawing money. And that's what I think a lot of people don't realize, that they think, what is our minds on? Or like it's all just fun and everything. But you're thinking when you're in situations like me and Tommy was and here then, you got to think about it, and you got to think about next week what you're doing. And like I said, that's me and Tommy throw ideas around. Randy Hales is thinking his stuff, and then like during midweek he would talk to us about Wednesday night or something and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Y'all got anything that y'all would like to add to this or you think would help? And then, like I said, we'd get together, and after we'd leave Evansville or something, me and Tommy would start talking about different things, and we'd get with Randy like on Friday. But there's so many different things. If we like if we went on here week through week of that angle, that feud, man, there's some cool stuff through there.
And see, and at that time, you look around, that's when territories were starting to shut down too. Territories were shutting down. So, and we had our guarantee. Maybe we grew up a little bit, matured, whatever, but job security, plus, was right there in our backyard. So we wanted it to work. And like I said, at first, I might not have been on board all the way, but at the end of the day, like Doug said, we'd ride and say, well, what can we do? And we just come up with some stuff. And Jamie and them every now, like Dougie said, a lot of times some of it'd be off the wall, but sometimes some of it would stick too, So yeah, it was and just like I said, with the territories around you shutting down and stuff, and you still going around drawing some decent money. We might not have been selling everything out, but we're sure drawing a lot better than everybody else was.
Yeah, and Gene, during that time, everybody else had done closed. We was the last, other than the big two, that was still running territorial weekly, nightly towns and everything. And you got to realize, and me and Tommy, and we laugh about this and say this, and Jamie and Wolfie listen to it and shake their head, but Now, Jamie and Wolfie were still kind of kids at that time too. At this, when Randy Hales first got them on, and they was really young kids. So I mean, that was another thing. I mean, and you know, people says, and like I said, and I sure don't mean no disrespect, because I respect Jamie and Wolfie and everything. But what I guess when Randy was saying to me, and what I guess me and Tommy might have been looking at was, and the people at first might have looked at, but I think it's what made them believe in PG-13 was because they see me and Tommy wrestle Lawler and Dundee at the Coliseum at Louisville Gardens the weeks before, Lawler and I, or Lawler and Brian, and then Randy puts this hard, solid program with me and Tommy and PG. But that's what I said, and I don't remember me and Tommy really looking at him funny. It just might have been an expression on her face or something. But he said that to me a couple of weeks ago, and I laughed. I said, Randy, I don't think it was that. And he said, well, I remember you and Tommy looking at me like y'all wasn't very happy.
I'm sure that was in his head. I'm sure short of you guys jumping up and down clapping, he was going to say, yeah, they're not happy about it. You know, it's just, he already just assumed that was going to be your thoughts, you know?
Well, when I seen them come out with them hubcaps and a chain, that hubcap around their neck, you know, I did scratch my head a little bit thinking, what in the world is that? But they were like blue-eyed soul boys. I mean, everybody loved them, you know. I mean, you go down to Beale Street or something, everybody knew who PG-13 was.
Yeah.
So they drawed, you know, they drawed really good white, black, pink, whatever color. It didn't matter. They, you know, like I said, they were blue-eyed soul boys. I mean, black folks liked them, the white folks liked them. And I think that was what made them good, too, because they got over with everybody.
And Gene, what's so cool about this now? I mean, this totally different, but listen before you holler at me. But when Tommy went to Atlanta, he was a young white meat baby face that people could get behind the sympathy. Well, Jamie and Wolfie was little, compared to us, little young kids that when me and Tommy beat on, they could get behind them.
Yeah.
And everything. And, you know, if you kind of look at that, I mean, and like Tommy said, what was cool, their gimmick was so, you know, kind of the rapper type deal and everything. So different people would get behind them, but it really got over. And like I said, I mean, it was a pleasure, the program. And like I said, there was no big heads. To me, that's the thing. And everybody was trustworthy. We didn't have to worry about Randy didn't. I think that was a good thing that also helped him out. He knew that he could call me and Tommy and ask us whatever, and we'd tell him, or if he needed something, he'd call me and Tommy. We'd come where he was at if he needed something. But he knew he didn't have to worry about Jamie and Wolfie because they was his creation, and he could trust me and Tommy. So, you know, it wasn't going to be there. There was never one argument about, you know, how people don't want to do finishes and this and that or something. I don't ever remember there being an argument except us playing with one another, arguing with them.
And like, you know, it ain't nobody ever had all their matches good. And I'm sure that we had a bad match or two in that month, but nobody ever, it wasn't like, well, you did this and you didn't do that.
No.
It was a joint effort. And we just sit down and say, hey, we need to do this next time. And it wasn't no egos. I mean, it was strictly business. I mean, and I think they wanted to make money too. They knew if it drew, they'd make money. And I think it was out of respect for us too, because they knew we'd worked with Lawler and I'd worked with Bill. Me and Bill been tag team partners. Dougie worked with Bill. I mean, you know, it's kind of like a family tradition there. You know, I was the only one outside looking in, and of course the Gilberts took me in as family, and you know, Jamie and Wolfie were like brothers. I mean, so you know, it was just the Memphis territory was great, but the personal angles I think was what really made it rock and roll.
Well, we didn't end up talking about Power Pro, but we had a really fun discussion, and it's something people have been wanting to hear about. So I think it's good sometimes when we come in and just go off the script and just let the conversation go where it may. So,
oh yeah, Gene, and one of the stories. There's a million other stories. We can talk about this whole another episode, but one of the stories me and Tommy took. Tommy, wasn't it Jamie that we took with us that night, or was it Wolfie when we went up to Kentucky and we just called the guy that was on the radio station? They was promoting condos and it was a new deal being opened, and Tommy said, "Let's go there." And I said, "Hell, I don't think it's open," but they had the number. So I said, "Here, Tommy," and I give Tommy the cell phone. I said, "Call this guy and tell him who you are." So Tommy called him and told him who he was and said that I was with him and we wanted to come and stay. And the place wasn't even open yet, Jim. But
No, it was shut down, man. They brought us in. I think it might have been Jamie and Wolfie both might have went there. But anyway, we went and what, there was a lake there. I mean, it was really, I mean, we did hung out the whole day, had a great time. Of course, wasn't nobody there, so we had a lot of fun. I mean,
the guy give us a condo, Gene, to stay in for the night, and it was just one of them. I think it might have been Wolfie this time, but it wasn't both of them. But he wound up. They had a race car track where you those cars that would slide sideways and go around the track. He had one of them, and he said, I'm going to tell you what, I'm going to let y'all three race, and I've got a trophy for the winner. And Tommy wound up winning the trophy. But we raced, and he let us go like 30 or 40 laps around this racetrack.
I'm going to tell you what, by the time we got done racing, my legs was wore out for me trying to outrun them.
and the cool thing, Gene, we got there, and it was in the middle of the country, and we was hungry, and Tommy had some beer, but we didn't have no food. I asked the guy, I said, you don't have a restaurant, do you? Which I didn't realize this place was closed down. He said, well, yeah, I got a little store up here that I make pizza. So he opens the store up, turns the lights on. Now, this is after midnight, and makes us a pizza, like a large or two large pizzas, and we carry them. And we try to give him some money. He won't take no money. He's a huge wrestling fan. Wow. We go to our condo. We walk out in front of that lakes there. We go around and pick up wood, Gene, and we build us a campfire out in front of that condo. And we sit out there and eat pizza and drink beer and have a good time. You talking about that's just us riding down the road, listen to the radio and hear a phone number and us call people. But that's the way things was then.
But that's awesome. But that's guys getting along on the road together now. I mean, and there was some that went their own separate ways. I mean, but hell, we'd pile up, because we all got along good. I mean, it's like the Memphis Mafia, man. We'd ride 5 in a car if we had to. We didn't care because we all got along good together.
Well, didn't have to worry about nobody telling on nobody.
Yeah.
Well, guys, I guess we're getting to the end. We want to thank the owner, founder, and president of Wildfire Championship Wrestling, Tommy Rich, for joining us here all the way from Kentucky. How's the weather up there, Tommy?
Hey, it's nice. Well, Richie Rich, he's the owner. I'm not no owner. I'm just Perez is all I am.
No. Hey, Gene, what Gene's talking about is that's what Randy Hales says. He is the owner. What is it, Gene? The
owner, founder, and president of Power Pro Wrestling. That's how he always introduced himself on TV. So
and I told Gene, I said, well, that may be what Tom. I said, well, I ain't sure what Tommy's title is. If he's the vice president or the president or the. And Gene said, no, he's the owner. What is Gene? The owner and the what?
Owner, founder, and president. Because we got to outdo Randy. If Randy hears that, you're gonna have heat. Because he's like, I'm the only owner, founder, and president. Tommy, you get a hateful phone call. You're stealing his gimmick.
Actually, I've got the same job Randy gave me. I'm the assistant booker and fire people.
You the hatchet man?
Yeah, I'm the hatchet man.
Well, see, that's pretty good because. You can't get mad at Tommy, Doug. You know what I mean? Tommy's one of those people, like you've heard said, that he's the kind of guy who can tell you to go to hell in a way that make you look forward to the trip. That's Tommy.
I don't know about all that, but it was just business back then too. And I mean, notice. I mean, we left territories, and sometimes we might not even got a 2-week notice. So just business. Wildfire Championship Wrestling this weekend, Frenchburg, Kentucky, Prestonsburg, Kentucky, Saturday night, Frenchburg's Friday night. Hey, if y'all up in the area or y'all want to make a drive and see some heck of a wrestling, and we'll be there for a big meet and greet, y'all come on out, man. And, hey, I'm sorry I was late, but, hey, I'm glad I made it.
Hey, listen, everybody up there in Kentucky, go see Wildfire Championship Wrestling. See my partner, Wildfire, Tommy Rich, and a lot of other superstars that'll be up there this weekend. Listen, y'all support Wildfire Wrestling because it's one of the hottest promotions up there. Listen, we appreciate everybody for listening. And tell all your friends. And if you need anything from me and Tommy, just shoot the stuff to Gene and we'll get with you. Me and Tommy can come for appearances, for wrestling matches, for parties, like Tommy says, for anything. But listen, peace. Thanks, everybody, for listening.
Relive the glory days of Memphis Wrestling with the Retro Wrestling Review USWA podcast. Each week, we go back in time to review USWA Championship Wrestling from the 1990s, episode by episode. Join us for watch-alongs, behind-the-scenes stories, and exclusive interviews with people who were there and lived it. Whether you grew up watching it or you're discovering it for the first time, this podcast is your ringside seat to Memphis wrestling history. It's all a part of the WrestleCopia Podcast Network. Listen now at USWApodcast.com.
In the heart of Tennessee, born with pride, Doug and Tommy taking rings in stride. Memphis legends never backing down, wrestling warriors, they wear the crown. USWA, glory in their veins, fighting legends breaking chains. In the squared circle they made their name. Podcast champions, it's their claim to fame. On the mic they roar, on the map they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more. Podcast kings ruling the waves. Memphis wrestling raising the stakes. From title belts to Hall of Fame, Doug and Tommy carved the name. Fists of fury and hearts of gold. Every story, every fight we told. Tales of glory, laughter, cry. Tennessee warriors with hearts open wide. In the ring or on the air, legends living without a care. On the mic they roar, on the mat they soar. Dangerous conversations, fans wanting more.